Hey man, I want to talk about the state of the NBA today, man, and how the game has changed. And I don't think the game changed for the better, man, because in today's NBA, there's no balance in the game. Basketball is all about balance on the court. You got a point guard. You're supposed to have a point guard that can distribute to different players and have the ball put in different spots, pass the ball on time, keep the ball moving, and he calls the plays. You have a center. At least when I was watching basketball in my younger day, you had a center that commanded the paint. You know what I'm saying? That played and called the defense on the back end. He scored down low, and he did things of that nature and had a presence, a size presence down there for intimidation purposes. So you won't score easy going to the basket because basketball is about easy baskets, man, and getting those the baskets for easy for the center to be able to control the game and the flow of the game. And today's it's all about who has the most 3 point shooters on the team. And I remember back in like 2000 what 4 or 5 when Phoenix was at the apex, the Phoenix Suns, and they averaged about 10 threes a game, and I thought that was a lot of threes. A lot of people thought that was a lot of threes. With Steve Nash, Stoudemire, all those guys that was there, and we all and Sean Marion, we all thought, and Joe Johnson before he got traded to the Celtics, we all thought that was a lot of threes. Like, man, they put up a lot of threes, but Phoenix always did good in the regular season, and they did good in the first round in the playoffs. Maybe like the first round, or sometimes they got to the second round. But when they faced teams like, let's say the San Antonio Spurs, for instance, San Antonio Spurs had David Robinson and Tim Duncan. What did they do? They got easy buckets with those guys because 3 pointers come and go. You like the old saying, you live by the three, you die by the three. And back in those days, the NBA was more balanced. It was a balanced league, and you were able to play defense. Nowadays, they do not let you play defense, man. Like, I'm not saying you should be able to play football out there, but you should be able to. Basketball is a physical game. You should be able to get physical to a certain point. You know what I'm saying? Like, letting somebody just go to the basket unimpeded is like ridiculous, man. It's like, what, like, you should supposed to just let somebody just lay the ball up and that's it, and just keep on going back and forth. That's like a pickup game. That's like a regular pickup game. Well, shoot, pickup games is more physical than that in the neighborhoods. So you want a glorified, you want to have a kind of like a globetrotter game where things are scoring is easy, and we just entertaining the fans based off just scoring. I remember watching a basketball game. I'm 40 years old. So I'm used to watching basketball in the, the 80s and the 90s. And I remember the 80s and the 90s, man. Those are some great games, man. I'm from Chicago, so I'm a Bulls fan naturally, but playing up against the New York Knicks, the Pistons, the Indiana Pacers, and these guys play physical, man. Like, you were not getting easy baskets. Like, you were not going to, if you was going to go to the basket, somebody was going to foul you hard. You had to be real tough to keep coming back down there. And most people shied away from going down there because of the fact that they didn't want to get fouled hard or things of that nature. Or you know what I'm saying? A lot of people like contact. A lot of NBA players didn't, you know what I'm saying, don't like contact. Some of them don't like contact. So they wouldn't, do anything that would precede them getting a lot of contact on their body. But nowadays, man, I just look at basketball, man, and these guys going to the basket. I mean, like, free, like, laying it up, like, with no consequence. Man, put somebody on their butt, man. I'm not saying hurt somebody, but, man, you got to put somebody on their butt and send a statement. And, see, this league has turned into they took the center out of the game. Like, the center is gone. Everything is like stretch 4, stretch 5. What I mean about that, these guys are going out shooting 3-pointers. So you got guys shooting 3-pointers that should not be shooting 3-pointers. You know what I'm saying? Boogie Cousins shooting threes. He's 6'11", 270. You should be down low, punishing somebody down low, getting easy baskets down low, protecting the paint, getting rebounds. I mean, he rebounds pretty good, but I'm just saying, like, you know what I'm saying, getting rebounds. Imagine if he stayed down low. I think Boogie Cousins probably averaged like 9 or 10 rebounds. Imagine if he stayed down low, like he's supposed to be doing. It's all right for him to go out every now and then and shoot a three, but imagine if he stayed down low, how many rebounds he'd be getting? Probably like 12, 13. Like, seriously. Like, you got guys in the league that's shooting so many threes, it's ridiculous, man. Like, in 1980, it was only three three-pointers attempt, per game. You know what I'm saying? Then we go a little bit further. You start getting to like the 1990, it was like 7, and then like 2000, and then around about 2010, it was 10, and then now 2017, it's 15 threes, almost 16 threes shot on average in the NBA, attempted on average. That is ridiculous, man. That's not even good basketball, man, because a lot of, like Golden State Warriors, for instance. Now, Golden State Warriors do, you know what I'm saying, I wouldn't mind them shooting the threes that they're shooting because they possibly got 3 of the best shooters of all time on their team, in Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant, and Stephen Curry. You know what I'm saying? Stephen Curry may be the best shooter of all times. Maybe. I still got Bird up in there. I still got Reggie up in there. Mark Price, guys of that nature still up in there, and Ray Allen, he may be the best shooter, in NBA history. So them attempting 13 threes a game, I can live with that. But like Philadelphia attempting 12 threes a game, though they don't have shooters on their team. They got JJ Redick. He's about the only guy that to me is a pure shooter on that team. Orlando Magic averaging 11 threes a game. Houston averaging 15. They do got some three-point shooters on their team, so I would say, okay, I can live with that. But what I'm trying to say is the game, like, I seen James Harden, I think it was the last week sometime. His team was down. No. His team was up like 1 or 2 with like a minute something left in the game. And this man took a step back three. Okay, he hit it. But this is the fact that you got to understand situational basketball, man. You shooting a step back three on the defender that's defending you, and you up 2 points with like a minute something left. That, to me, that's like ridiculous. Like back in my day, you would have gave the ball, you know what I'm saying, to the center or a power forward, or if you had on your team, some people had a great power forward, some teams had a really good center. I'm not saying all teams, but they you know what I'm saying, they had people that could play their back to the basket. You would give them that ball and just, you know what I'm saying, just put that game on ice. This man shot a step back three. Like, I don't understand, man. And I don't watch a whole lot of NBA like I used to. I couldn't miss a Bulls game back in the day, man. I had to watch my Chicago Bulls, period. Now, I watch maybe 2 NBA games, maybe a week, 2 or 3. And it's getting harder and harder to watch because I'm seeing a lot of these guys that's not supposed to be shooting threes. I'm seeing guys taking terrible shots. You know what I'm saying? They keep on saying bigger, faster, stronger, so the game is better. No, that doesn't make the game better. Because a lot of these guys don't play with no smarts. I was looking at First Thing First, and Ray Lewis was on there. He was talking about football, and he was talking about guys in the NFL don't play with their brains anymore. And he said, when you play against Tom Brady, you better play with your brain. Yes, you got to have the physical attributes, but you better be able to play with your brain, because you have to make, you know what I'm saying, you got to make adjustments, maybe quarter by quarter, maybe series by series, down by down shit. You got to make adjustments because you can't show Tom Brady the same thing over and over again because he's been in the league so long, he has so much success, and he's seen everything. So you can't keep giving them the same thing. And he said, yeah, man, people don't play with their brains anymore. And that's what I feel about the NBA, man. Guys, they don't play heady basketball. And that used to be a phrase in my day, heady basketball. That's being able to understand the situation, time and clock, man. Like, you see some crazy stuff, man. Like, really, seriously. You see some crazy, some bad. See, last year in the playoffs, you see all them blowouts that was last year in the playoffs because everybody's trying to shoot threes. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's trying to shoot threes. So when you go cold from three, then what? Then that it makes the game look so terrible when both teams are shooting bad from three. And then that's how you had blowouts last year. You had people blowing at each other 20 points one night, next night 30 points. Like, you never seen that back. Very rarely seen back when I was watching basketball in the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s of people getting blown out in the playoffs like that. Like, really, seriously, you never really seen that because guys did not take terrible shots. They were not shooting crazy threes, and they were playing balanced basketball. When you play balanced basketball, you very rarely see blowouts in the playoffs because usually playoffs is a combination of you get the best teams out of that season playing in the playoffs. So most teams that's playing in the playoffs are balanced teams. They're pretty well balanced. Okay, now you had the Phoenix Suns. They weren't really balanced, but they did have Marcus Stoudemire. Marcus Stoudemire did play down low pretty good. He was playing his back to the basket. And another thing, Phoenix was getting easy points in transition. They were not only shooting threes, they were getting easy points in transition. And if they didn't shoot a good percentage of threes, at least they was making up some of it on easy buckets in transition. Because Marcus Stoudemire and Sean Marion was running the floor like nobody's business. They were beating people up and down the floor. But the NBA, man, they gotta take out all these rules. Just see, a lot of these rules are just made for the offense to be. See, the NBA want the scores to be. The NBA wouldn't matter if the scores were like 130 to 130. I don't want to see 130 to 130. I want to see 95 to like 80 something, but a great basketball game. You can still have a great basketball game as a score of 90 something to 80 something. You can still. I've seen it plenty of times in the playoffs, and I've seen it plenty of times back in my day when the score. You know what I'm saying? When somebody got 100 back in my day, that was. Hey, look, you were really executing. You were really good because you didn't get a lot of 115, 120, 100. Now back in the like early 80s you did because you know what I'm saying, a lot of teams were more offensive minded. I mean they were really offensive minded back then. But as you start getting to the middle 80s, you know what I'm saying, the Detroit Bad Boy Pistons, you know what I'm saying, New York Knicks start playing a certain way. All them guys start, you know what I'm saying, playing more physical. That's when you got a physical brand of basketball. To me, that's when the game was great. To me, I don't think the NBA needed to change. Now, I think they overreacted to the malice in the palace when, you know, Detroit and Indiana got into that big brawl. And I think they were trying to trying to take the physicality out of the game because of that incident. But that incident wasn't really about the physicality of the game as necessarily. It was just, you know what I'm saying, two hot guys got under each other's skin, and Ben Wallace and Ron Artest, and then it became something. So I think they overreacted to that. But man, you gotta allow players to play defense, man, because without balance in the game, it hurts the game. Now the game is it's like 80% offense, and they allowed you to play defense 20% of the time. So that's my thoughts on the state of the NBA, man. Nowadays, I still, you know what I'm saying, watch the game. I'm not saying I'm not trying to be overly critical, but I'm just saying you got to bring balance back to the NBA, man, because right now it's getting ridiculous. You only got a few teams that are worthy that should be taking those many three-pointers. Like, a lot of these teams shouldn't be taking that many three-pointers. This is bad basketball. It's not heady basketball. You know what I'm